In order to make the most of Max's animation controls, you're going to certainly want to make sure that you have a solid understanding of what button or icon does what. This video will help you in building that foundation. Animating in Max all starts with the ruler that you see down at the bottom of the interface. Its formal name is the timeline, although it's also sometimes referred to as the trackbar. The numbers that you see along the timeline are the frames within your animation, each 30 frames representing 1 second in time. To move in time, you'll want to grab the time slider located above the timeline. Moving it to the right takes you forward in time, while moving it back to the left takes you back in time. You'll notice the slider has two numbers on it, separated by a slash mark. The front number is the current frame you're on, while the back number indicates the total number of frames in your animation. That total, spreading from left to right, is also known as the active time segment. To move to a different frame, you have a couple different ways you can go. You can use the mouse by simply holding down your left mouse button and then shifting it either left or right. You can also simply click above the timeline at a different location. This brings the time slider over to that position, landing you now on a new frame. If you'd prefer to type the frame number in, you can do so to the right of the timeline and a little bit down. Here I'll highlight the number 74 and type in 33. You'll want to press Enter to have the slider move to that new frame position. To the right of the timeline and directly above where you just typed the frame number, you have your playback controls. Clicking on the single right-facing arrow will play back your animation. Clicking again stops play. There's also a keyboard shortcut for that, which is the /, which you can find on the keyboard by looking for the question mark. Let's try that method of playback instead. Continually tapping the key will toggle you between starting and stopping the play. Directly to both the right and left sides of the playback arrow, you have controls that will move you one frame at a time. Previous frame going backwards, while next frame goes forward. Notice that there's also arrows on both sides of the time slider. Clicking on these pretty much does the same thing, moving you back one frame or forward one frame. There's also shortcut keys for the two maneuvers. Period will take you forward one frame at a time, while the comma will take you back one frame. Moving to the far right and far left of the playback controls, you'll find icons to take you to the front of your animation or to the back. There's also keyboard shortcuts for those. The home key will take you to the front, while the end key will take you to the back. Changing the length of the animation is done using the time configuration icon. In the dialog, you'll find two different locations where you can change the total number of frames in your project. Either typing in a new value for end time, or directly to the right and a little bit up from that, changing the length. The time configuration dialog also has controls for changing your frame rate, what method of measurement the time slider displays, options for your playback speeds and what viewports actually display the playback, and a control that gives you the ability to rescale your time. The time configuration settings can also be accessed by simply right-clicking on any of the playback buttons. You can also interactively add frames to the front of your animation by using the keyboard shortcut Ctrl-Alt left mouse button. Or add additional frames to the end using the Ctrl-Alt right mouse option. When it comes to creating keys, you've got a couple different options, both located below the timeline toward its right side. Those options are Auto Key and Set Key. I'll be showing you how those work in an upcoming video. For now, be aware of the shortcut commands. N will activate the Auto key, while the apostrophe key on the keyboard will turn on Set Key. So that'll give you what you need to know about Max's animation controls. They're going to be part of everyday life when animating, so practice them up and try to use those associated keyboard shortcuts whenever possible.